Okay, so now you're back and hopefully all caught up with me. So you'll see from this section here I have made even more alterations to my first attempt, and I'm going to continue with just a little bit more of the pencil just to put some of this finer work in. Okay, so I'm a bit happier with the shape of this now. And I am probably about ready to actually go in and put some white on. So when we're looking at the white, it's quite a hefty lump of white that we're using to actually do this. However, it is the only white that really sits on the top. You'll find with the pencil, you'll get greys, even though it's a white pencil, it won't give you this kind of delivery. It's also quite hard to see actually where you're putting it if you don't have a sharp point on it, which you rarely can keep on one of these anyway. So I'm also trying to keep this still as well as pressing quite hard to get this on. I'm just going to turn that round. And you'll find yourself pressing quite hard with this just to get it to look white. Okay. I'm just going to grey that off by adding just a little bit of white to the dark area that I originally had there. Tap that in and it will go grey. Okay, so I'm going to bring that right the way around there. Okay, when you want a really bright highlight, I literally push in and gouge so that you get your highlight. Now I'm going to continue on into this section. The rusty colour that I can't find. Here it is. So again, I want some rusty particles just to start me off. I'm just going to come back in with some dark brown. Now I do find with this particular set, I don't actually have a dark enough brown to actually create some of the things I want. Some of these browns are just a little bit too warm, as you can see, so you can't dye your colours off. So this is where you'd have to, again, optically mix to achieve some of those colours. So I'm going to use it on its side and blend slightly by using it sideways. Now I want something even darker still, so I'm going to have to use a blue first. And again, normally this blue would be a little bit too bright for what I want. I'd normally go for an indigo, but in this particular set that doesn't exist, so I'm having to do it via other means. So to get my darker, richer colour, I've actually had to create it with layering. And you'll find this quite often with pastels. Layering is absolutely essential just to get a particular colour. Okay, so I'm going to go back with some of the original colours that we had. Okay, so here's a little bit of a brighter colour. Okay, so back with me rust. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what actually is happening in this section because it's not very clear on the photograph. So I'm just going to map out what I think might be there. See if it makes any sense. Not sure that it does, but we'll go with that anyway. Right, so what have I done here? Right, there. Okay, so this is what I think is actually happening in that section. But I'm not going to swear to it because I don't know. Okay, so I'm assuming that's close enough. Nobody will notice. So now, again, I want to go back to my heavier pastels. And as I don't really know what's actually going on in this particular section, I'm not going to overly draw attention to it. So not going to put too much detail in here. I'm just going to suggest that there's something there. So again, I've gone with that charcoaly grey colour to start with. A little bit of the black. Okay, so now I need to come in, so again, light blue. Create the highlight top. Here we are back with the blue again. So this is deep blue. So I'm just going to create some of where the darks will be. Okay, so I'm probably going to lose the handle completely off of this, but never mind. just going to put a little bit more. Now, to create some of the rust pockets, I would normally use a dark brown, which seems to have evaded me at the moment. Aha. Let's find one. In a pencil. And that will create the edges. Now, under the paint itself though, we need a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going to jump between both the brown and the black just to create some of those edges. Okay, so I need to re-go and do this edge again. So back into the background, sharpen that edge up a little bit. As you can see, we're slowly starting to get an idea of what we're actually aiming for. So again, I want you to continue building up your shapes. I'm just going to subtract a little bit of the white from there. Actually, it was light blue, wasn't it? And again, I'm just going to go back in with some background so I can get rid of some of those areas that are no longer working. And again, we can give the background a little bit of a blend. And we've just managed to go over that a little bit. So again, you can go back and put that back in. You should actually be able to have quite a lot of fun with the pastels. They do work up relatively quickly, so that you can have an almost finished painting in a few hours. Okay, here's my dark brown. So like I said, keep working backwards, forwards between the two types of pastels if you have both. If you don't, then you know you can wet the pigment, apply it with a brush, but you can't remove it if you make a mistake. So please, if you can, wait till the very end before you wet it and put it on. Okay, so I've decided I'm actually going to keep some of the original background as part of the paintwork through here. So as I go over sideways, you'll notice that what was underneath is still showing through, and it looks like peeled off paint. So I'm going to leave it like that. In the meantime, I'm just going to find a couple of edges that are going to need to go in. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back with some rusty paint areas. Get some darker brown. Okay, let's start with a bit of charcoal colour. Okay, some extra little flecks of paint. Whoops, highlight edge has gone a bit further than it's meant to, so it's a bit higher than it should be. Just give that slightly lighter feel to it. Okay, so I think what I'm actually putting in right now is actually the bare metal. It's lost its paint, so it's also got a rolled over edge, which isn't helpful, because it means I've got to put a highlight through the middle of that. I'm actually going to have to put some blue down, I think, just to get this darker. And then back with the black. So remember, you're going to use this method to create your darks, layer up. So if it's a black area that you're looking for or extremely dark, then put the black on the top, not underneath, put it on the top. And you'll see that it actually increases the depth of the colour. Okay, as you might guess, rolled edges aren't quite that easy to create. So I'm going to put, I can't remember which colour I'm using here. Was it that one? Bit of a green fleck in. I'll put a little bit of the blue flecks as well. Put some more green in over the top of that. Okay, so I need to go back with my black gone. There. Okay, so again, a little bit of a paint fleck thing. Before I put a highlight through it. Okay, so I don't want this highlight obviously to be too strong. Okay, now, where's my boy? Yep. Okay, so remember what I said about the white, you're actually going to be blending more than you are actually creating whites with this pencil. So just remember, when you want more subtle highlights, this is just as easy to do it with the pencil than it is with the stick. But if you need a true highlight, you will need to use a stick. You will not be able to do it too well with this. Okay. So that rolled edge is starting to appear. It's just going to take a lot of extra time to create all of those areas. Just going to lighten that a little bit. I'm just reshaping now before I go in and do all of that all the way around, just to make sure that I don't lose the shape that I've just created. So again, make sure you stand back, look at where you're at. Are you happy? Is everything in the right place, or does anything need to change? Now would be a really good time to do that. So again, I'm going to pause and then we will continue.